So I'm joined by Kathy Stringer. I've known Kathy from Instagram, although I don't know her personally. I followed her for a couple of years. Um, and I'll jump straight in, Kathy. And before I ask you how you are, I'll say how I came about to know about you. And that's
Okay.
simply because, and I believe it was 2019, I did the Penarth Duathlon. And I believe you were there as well. And you
Yeah.
were the one, well, you when you're running a course like that, which is a loop course, you see the
Yeah.
same people at the same points every time. So we must have been at roughly the same pace, but you were ahead of me, and we kept passing at the same point. And I kept thinking, "There's my marker," or I wonder if I'll see her again. So that's how I came about to know about yourself and then follow you on Instagram. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I get that embarrassing story out the way. So first things first, how are you?
Yeah. Very well, thank you. That was actually quite a crazy day, wasn't it? I remember the water coming over the edge
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like the pavement was flooded with water. Yeah, I do remember
Yeah.
that.
For those of you who may not know the race, yeah, it runs onto the seafront in Penarth, and yeah, at some points, some of the runners were definitely getting soaked by the rain, or you saw runners giving it a wide berth, which when you've got runners coming one way and then coming back the other way, it's interesting prospect anyway.
Yeah.
I loved that race. I'll be honest with you. It's the first duathlon I'd done for a while, and I'd been out injured for a little while as well. But I loved it. I don't know why. It just seemed like a smallish race, and the bike
Yeah.
was a little bit technical, but at the same time you could get a head of steam on it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I did really enjoy it. And like you said, because the run was along that seafront, the view you had whilst you were running was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
The only thing I struggled on is when I'm in race mode, I am terrible at remembering directions or like counting laps.
Yeah.
And if you remember, there was like 3 roundabouts or something, and it was like you have to go over the first two and then loop the second one and then carry on to another. And I was like, oh my God. And I ended up going around a roundabout about 3 times.
Yeah.
And I was shouting at the marshal, like, where do I go?
And to be honest, that part was like an industrial estate as well. So
Yes,
it
yeah.
wasn't, everything looked the same. So it wasn't the
Yeah.
easiest. But no, it was a good event. I was hoping to do that again this year, but things didn't transpire. But anyway,
No,
um,
no.
yeah. So how are things with you? Obviously, 2020 is a funny old time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it has. It's been a very strange year. For me, with my training and things, it's actually been really good. Only because I've been put on furlough. So I haven't been working and I've felt almost like a full-time athlete because I've obviously been getting paid at the end of each month, but I've been training. So it's been like this weird thing where I've kind of lived the life of an actual kind of paid athlete, which is weird.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I mean, from that perspective, it's been really good because I've actually just been able to fully focus on my training with no distractions, no compromises. I've not had to text my coach saying I can't make it to this session because I've got to go away with work or I've just been called to do this. I'm really sorry. So every session he's given me, I've been able to do on time, on the day, and I've kind of seen the results and like my times are all improving both in the run and the bike. So it's kind of positive from that sense, but obviously at the same time, what an absolutely awful year for absolutely everything else. And I know a lot of people have gone through a lot of stress and heartbreaking things. So yeah, I've had to take the positives from it, but obviously it's not how you'd want an actual year to go.
yeah. And did you manage to get any races in at the beginning of the year before it all locked down?
Yeah, I did. So one of my sort of New Year's resolutions was to do more races because I felt that last year I was just kind of putting all my eggs into these baskets of just a race in March and a race in April or whatever, and I wasn't really sort of competing as much as I wanted to. So I began the year with like I'm going to enter every single race, which Now it's really annoying because I'm having to postpone and get refunds on them all. But I did manage to get a couple, and I did the Severn Bridge, which you probably know if you know Penarth and things.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was a nighttime race running over the bridge and back. But it was obviously we had loads of storms at the start of the year, and it wasn't too great running across that bridge in the storms.
That's why I picked the Severn Bridge Half Marathon, which I think is in the end of August.
I've never done the half marathon.
Only because you're the sort of you're guaranteed a slightly better weather than the one you're talking about.
Yeah, not in mid-February.
Yeah.
And then I did another one. Again, these are just all running. I didn't get any duathlons done. I did a Chile duathlon, a Chile 10K at Castlecombe.
Yeah, I know the one, yeah.
Again, that was actually supposed to be a duathlon, but it got cancelled because of the bad weather, and it ended up just being the 10K. So I did that. And there was one more, which was, again, a nighttime race around Chepstow Racecourse. And it was a bit more like a trail run. It's run by a group called the Rogue Runners, or the Rogue Runs.
Yeah, I know the Rogue Runs, yeah.
Yeah. And it was the first event I'd done with them. And that was a very interesting race. There's like lots of ditches and hills and routes and like lots of things you kind of had to just dodge and duck.
Yeah.
And
but in the dark as well.
Yeah, it's in the pitch black, so you have to wear a head torch. The problem is, you just think, like when you're not in the race, you think, oh well, I'll have my head torch, so I'll be able to see in front of me.
Yeah.
Behind you, you're creating a shadow in their light. So essentially, in front of you, you've just got your own shadow.
Yeah.
And, you can't actually see anything. You just have to go about it as best you can. But it was a lot of fun. So the races I did were more just, I find my feet a little bit. They weren't really. It wasn't like the Penarth Duathlon where it was quite competitive, and I got to go on the bike as well. It was more just sort of getting my legs out.
You got disqualified? Did you just say you got disqualified from Penarth?
Oh no,
right, sorry. I thought you said you got disqualified, and I know a couple of people who did get disqualified from that. So so it wouldn't have surprised me that much. But anyway.
Oh right, no disqualifications.
All right, sorry.
It's just
Go on. So just thinking about yourself, and in the last couple of years, I'm aware that represented GB at age group of duathlon, and am I right in thinking you went to ITU World Champs as well?
Yes, last year.
So do you mind just talking a little bit about that? Only because some of the people who listen to the podcast will be new to triathlon, duathlon, and they won't really understand age groupers and how you go about even qualifying for something like that.
Yeah, so I might as well kind of just start from the beginning and say how I progressed there, because I've just ran all my life. I've never really been on a bike, and when I was a runner, I always said to myself, I'll run for my country one day. I'll run for England. I'll do it. And I never got there, and I was always really disappointed in myself and was like, one day I've just got to do it. And I stuck to my running, and just kind of thought, like, I don't know, something will come along, or I'll get into marathons or ultra marathons or bell running or something like that. I was like, gonna find a way. And then I moved to Bristol to do a master's, and on the master's I actually met my boyfriend, who is a really keen road cyclist, and he wanted to get into running and he wanted me to also get into cycling. So we were like, okay, well, we'll sort of take each other under our wings. I'll take you out for a run, you take me out for cycling. And it kind of progressed from there, and I ended up getting my first road bike. And I actually, when I was a kid, I had a really nasty accident on my bike, and I had 7 stitches put in my chin. And ever since then, I've never really got on a bike. I was absolutely terrified of like the drop down handlebars and things like that. And anyway, so he bought me this road bike, and I remember the first time I ever went out on it, I wore Converse rather than my clip-in shoes to go to a park, and I'd only cycle over the grass because I was so terrified that if I couldn't clip out in time, I'd just fall over in the road and get run over. And the worst thoughts were running through my head.
We've all been there with that, and the amount of people who talk to me about there's two big fears. One of them, open water swimming, and I'm talking triathlon now, and the other one then is being clipped in. And we were all there. I remember there's a lane behind the back of my house, going up and down the lane, clipping in, clipping out, clipping in, clipping out, just to get used to it. It's awful, and you sometimes forget how nervous you are that first time, because you got everything going through your head, like, oh, what happens if I come to a set of traffic lights and I can't clip out? What happens if I need to brake quickly and I forget to clip out as well? And I know stories about people who wouldn't clip out and they'd lean on a parked car at a set of traffic lights and things like that.
Oh my God.
And I've got a friend who would do that and went to lean on the car, but lean on the window, and the window was open, and ended up hitting the lady in the face. And I don't like saying that story when I'm talking about people who are new cycling, but no doubt you're in a position now where you've gone past that, and because I've seen pictures of you cycling and videos and things, but it's a horrible situation that very first time you have to clip in and out.
Yeah, it really is. And even, I mean, just simple things like, obviously when you're a kid, you learn to ride holding your handlebars like this.
Yeah.
And then when you're on a road bike, your hands are more like that, kind of on the side. And I remember that we had to go down a hill. It wasn't like a huge hill, but downhill towards this park. And I was holding on to my handlebars like that because that was the only way I knew how to ride a bike. But obviously the brakes are down here.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like I can't stop. What do I do? And I was too nervous to pull my hands up. Oh my God, it was just one of those moments where you're like, I'm just going to die. I'm going to die. But it's fine. Like you slow down, you end up braking. Luckily I wasn't clipped in, so I could just put my feet down. And but yeah, that was the first experience ever riding my road bike. And it was only like a year later that my boyfriend, who had obviously come out cycling with me a lot, I ended up commuting to work. So I work in Chepstow, but I live in Bristol. So I commuted every day, and it's about an hour there and an hour back. So I got quite a lot of training on my bike without really thinking about it much. And he just said to me one day, you should really do a road race or a time trial or do something on your bike. And I was like, do you know what? I'm just too nervous to go into a cycling race. I know running races. I don't know what it's like to ride a bike. And all I have in my head is the Tour de France, where you've just got hundreds of thousands of people in this ball around you, and you're not going to be able to turn or brake or do anything without causing like chaos. And so he was like, why don't you try duathlon? Because then you've got the running element in there, which is your comfort zone and you know it well. But then you also get on your bike, you're on a closed, because I did my first duathlon in like a closed circuit. So he's like, you just ride a loop, it's nice and flat, there's no cars, no traffic lights. If you fall off, people can go around you. And I was like, actually, that's a really good idea. Like I really fancied it. And like I said, having that running element in there just felt like complete comfort zone, but then the cycling was out of the comfort zone. So it's this really good mixture. And my first duathlon I actually did up north at Alton Park. And my parents came along, my boyfriend came along, and it was unbelievable because when you go to like a running race on like the track or something like that, everyone's quite it's a very individual sport, and everyone walks onto the track and you're very competitive and you don't really talk to each other. Whereas at this duathlon, I arrived and was like, don't know what I'm doing, what am I doing? Like just all these thoughts running through my head. And I think this guy just instantly saw that I was very nervous. I didn't really understand what I was doing. He came over, he taught me through the whole process, and he was just so lovely. And he said, this is how you rack your bike, make sure your helmet's clipped on or whatever it was, and just taught me through the whole thing. And it was just amazing how that community of people there are just all so lovely. Like that is one thing I'd say that struck me straight away from the first competition I ever did. And yeah, so that competition actually came first in my age group.
Oh, well done.
It was like wow, like this actually could be something here. And so I just started to look at more duathlons around where I lived in Bristol, and obviously Castlecomb's not too far away, and there was a couple of other local ones as well. And so then I just started taking it a little bit more seriously and started not just commuting on my bike, but also going out and doing lots of hills and interval sessions. And I am very lucky that my boyfriend does know a lot of cycling, so he came out with me, and still to this day he pushes me a lot. We'll kind of race each other or try and get the best times on segments and things like that. So I am very lucky in that sense. But yeah, it's that's kind of how I got into duathlons.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of progressed from there. And I think it was just through talking to people and searching about on the internet and Googling and things about different duathlons, I found that there was the GB age group. So for anybody that doesn't know, it's not elite. So I'm not an elite athlete. It just means that I compete for Great Britain for my age group in the standard duathlon or sprint duathlon, whichever distance you wanted to go for. And you have to do a qualifier or a qualifying race. So I did mine in Bedford. It must have been like 2 years ago now, 3 years ago. And you either have to come top in your age group in that race, or you have to come within a certain time behind first place.
Yeah.
So it's not like if you do the race you just automatically qualify. You do have to come within a certain position or a certain time. And I think I came second in my age group that day, but I was close enough to the girl in front of me that I then qualified to represent GB at the Worlds. So I literally went from like just competing with locals and people in the UK to all of a sudden being on this world stage with Australians, Americans, Spanish, French, just literally everyone. And it was a crazy experience, absolutely amazing. And I would recommend anyone that loves cycling and running to just give it a go, because at the qualifying races you just don't know. You could be top of your age group, and even if you're not, you could only be minutes behind them, which could qualify you. So my advice to anyone is just give it a go, because I didn't have a clue what to expect. And but taking it full circle, I'm so chuffed I finally made it to compete for my country.
Yeah. Oh, fair play. No, it's for me, it's a bit of a dream as well. I don't know if I'll ever get there. And the other dream for me within triathlon as well is to potentially qualify for Kona. And again, that's pie in the sky dream, but we've got to have something to aim towards, haven't we?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Gosh, Kona. Yeah, fair play for even attempting that.
Well, I'm nowhere near it. So, but we never know. Maybe the 70.3.
Yeah.
So, thinking back to that first race up in the north, you said you did, and you said you talked about the community and how they supported you on that. What did you learn from that first race that you could then probably take into other races? And I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here, I know. But what I'm trying to get to is there are a number of people talk to me and they're just so nervous about their first race because it's the unknown. And you can read a set of rules on the race pack beforehand as much as you want. You can watch videos, you can watch races themselves, but nothing prepares you for that actual day. And I'm talking about things like racking your bike, laying out your kit. Yes, there are videos out there that show it, but a lot of it is personal to you as well. And that little routine of what you do is, when you're coming off your first run in a duathlon, this is, or coming off a swim into a bike, that little routine that you go through to make sure you got your kit on in the right order so you can get going. So yeah, what did you learn, I suppose, from that first race?
Oh, I mean, I learned a lot. There were quite a few things. I feel like when I don't know whether to answer this in sense of what I learned or how I'd advise people, because like you said, when I was reading the rules for duathlon, and you see it's like, so my first race was non-drafting. I didn't even know what that meant, and it was like, if you are seen to be drafting, you will be disqualified, and it's like capitalized in bold writing at the bottom of every page, and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to be disqualified because I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it is. I might do it without realizing, and then I'll be taken off the course. So, but I don't know, I think you have to kind of just read about it and think, okay, that's what drafting is. I'll try and avoid that. And for my first race, I just said to myself, you're not going in it to win it, just go in to kind of learn these lessons of like, if you do get disqualified for drafting in your first race, then don't see that as a negative, see it as a positive, that you've learned something and you can take it into your next one, and you then know what you've done wrong. And there were little things like you said, when racking your bike, I was just happy that I'd put my seat on the post and it was in the right number, and I was like, cool, I've done it. But now, like, I walk in and I put my helmet in a particular place, my shoes. So, this is a great bit of advice, actually. And this is something my boyfriend told me to do in my first race, and I still do it to this day. I'm learning. My coach is trying to get me out of the habit, but I wear cross-country shoes instead of road cycling shoes, because road cycling shoes, the bit on the bottom that you clip in with, sticks out. So you end up kind of like running on your heels. Or what the elites do is already have their shoes on the pedals, and then obviously they just jump on and go. Whereas again, I just took this approach that was like, might not win it, doesn't matter, but I know that I'm comfortable running in my shoes and getting on my bike. Like, I can't run and jump or like do any fancy like mounts and dismounts. I stand still, I swing my leg over, and I start pedaling. And these are all little lessons that I need to learn and get better at. But for your first one, again, like, you see all these people and they've got the shoes clipped in, and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to be losing minutes over this. And actually, if you just go in and you do what's comfortable for you. So for me, I was able to run in my shoes, because in the cross-country shoes, the clips are kind of within the sole. I just run with my bike. I made it really comfortable. I remember as well, I took a cup of water off somebody and just drank this cup of water and gave it back to them. Whereas now I wouldn't dream of doing that. Now I obviously jump on the bike and I drink as I cycle. But I just took this approach that actually, don't freak yourself out with all the rules and looking at other people and comparing yourself. Just go into it with the mindset of, it's a big lesson and you're going to learn a lot of things, but you're also going to really enjoy it.
That's definitely something that we come from on the channel. You know, we try and push a hashtag or a tag that we have, and that's triathlon made simple. And in this sense, duathlon made simple, because there are a lot of rules. There are a lot of elements to what we do, especially within cycling. And it just frightens people when they first come into the sport, because definitely triathlon, people can be quite elite when they're talking about what they do. You know, I've got a 10,000 pound bike. I've got this group set on my bike. My seat post on my head is at a certain height, you know, and I got this spacer and that spacer, and people get freaked out by it. So we often say, keep it simple, do what works for you. You're totally right. For your first one, find something that works for you and just go for it. You talk about, you know, some people will have shoes already clipped into their pedals. I've been at events where you look at the pedals and the wrong shoes are on the wrong pedals. You know, so you got the right on the left one and the other way around. And you know, so what I'm saying is, you can have all the equipment you want in the world and do it a certain way, but if you set up wrong for you, you're going to be losing time anyway. You know, I got friends who will do an Ironman triathlon in cycling shoes because that works for them. Others will do it in triathlon cycling shoes. So road cycling shoes versus triathlon cycling shoes. And again, I think it depends the type of race that you do, the distance that you're doing, and what you want to achieve as well. Because my first Ironman, I took 7 minutes on T1, and I wouldn't dream to do that now, but it was my first one, and it was just about completing. It was about getting to the point and saying, right, I've done the race. One, I either enjoy it or I don't, and then I continue. If I've enjoyed it and I want to continue, what worked well for me and what didn't work well, and what can I learn for the future? That's what it should be. It should be about feeding people small nuggets of information that they want. Don't give them information that they're not asking for because it'll just overcomplicate it. But also allowing people then to find their own way, and you using a certain shoe that works for you so you can run out of transition before you get on the bike is a perfect example of really good advice.
And little things like I think I mentioned this at the beginning as well, I'm terrible at counting laps. And the first, I think it was like 8 laps I had to do of the circuit. And my parents were there, and I just said, "Can you shout at me?" So every lap I did, they were like, 1, 2. And obviously you can't do that. Like when I'm in Bristol doing it on my own now, I have to know or count the many laps. So one bit of advice somebody told me was to stick bits of tape on your bike, just tiny bits of tape on your bike, and then each lap you do, take the tape off, so you can count that way. So that first one was just like, I just wanted to get through it. And I know people listening might be like, yeah, but you won your age group, blah, blah, blah. But it really wasn't about that. I was so sort of just grateful that I'd got through the race. And like I said, running was fine. I've ran all my life. So when the gun went, I knew what to do. It was like, right, you've got to run 10K or whatever it was. And coming into the transition, I was like, right, this is just alien to me. But just take your time, find your bike, swap your shoes over, put your helmet on, take a sip of water, switch your number around. And if you haven't switched your number around, they'll tell you to switch it around and all that kind of thing. And then when I was going around, if somebody overtook me and I was like, oh my God, I'm too close to them, I'm drafting, I would just slow down a bit and just let them go. And then I'd pick up my pace. And again, wouldn't let that kind of thing happen now, but that's only through experience and through doing more of them that you learn those little things. And there's so much more I've still got to learn. Well, I still need to learn to wear proper shoes and do a proper dismount and stuff, which my coach is begging me to get. But I until I buy the shoes, I can't practice. So I'm holding off buying the shoes, and then I've got my shoes.
Well, it works for you, doesn't it? So, and again, it comes down to probably seconds in the race, and I think it all depends on how important that is for you at that moment in time. So so you mentioned a coach, so I'd be keen to sort of jump in on that one. I was going to ask you, are you coached? Are you self-coached? Have you always had a coach, or when did the coach come into helping you?
For duathlon, no. When I was just a runner, when I was younger, sort of in my teens, I had a coach from the athletics club. So I had a coach right up until kind of I went to uni, and then at uni we were just students and things.
And what was your distance, if you don't mind me asking, when you were back running?
When I was running, so I did a lot of road running and cross-country races, but then in the summer on the track I do middle distance, so 800 or 1500.
Oh, cool.
1500 was kind of like the main one. But yeah, I wasn't. I still never run a marathon, which is mental. I really need to get that. That's actually one of my goals for 2021. Anyway, sorry, I've completely diverged.
Yeah, sorry, I jumped in there.
What did you ask me again?
About coaching. When did you mentioned having a coach and things.
Yeah, so up until the Worlds last year, I was self-coached, and I don't I can't really advise people on it because I just kind of did what was right for me, and if I couldn't fit a cycle in that week, then I just make it my commute. Um,
Yeah.
and running, I obviously have a lot of experience of training with running because I've done it all my life. So I knew that, okay, I need a long run a week, I need a hill session a week, I need a couple of track sessions, I need a rest day. And so I just build my timetable around that. But last year at the Worlds, I came third in my age group. And it was at that point that was like, I actually have the potential here to do really well and to get gold, but I can't really do it alone. And so it was after the Worlds last year, I just took a bit of a break because I'd trained really hard up until that point. So I kind of took a couple of months off over the summer, came back to it in the winter. And then again, with my New Year's resolutions, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to invest in a coach and yeah, I'm going to find someone. So found Paul Ryman coaching, give him a little, I don't know what you call it, a shout out.
Yeah. Well, give it. Yeah, I'll put his details in the link.
Yeah, he's really really cool. I had a really great chat with him. We just had a Zoom chat the first meeting, and then I actually met him in Bath. And he saw the way I cycled and the way I ran, and instantly made some notes and gave me some feedback. And he's been giving me my sessions ever since. And for me personally, I love having a coach. I absolutely love it because one, you know that they're building you an entire program. So when I was self-coaching myself, I was just doing it week by week. I was like, oh, I'll do this day and that day. But and like I kind of increased the intensity or the distances over the month, but I didn't really know what I was doing. Whereas I know he's kind of building up to stuff, and it's amazing when he asks me to do a fast 5K or an FTP test on the bike, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't really feel ready for this, or I don't really feel like I'm going to be much different to last time I did it. And then I'll absolutely smash it by like minutes or by 10 watts or whatever. I think, wow, like he really knows what he's doing. And also on the flip side of that, with rest days, when I used to give myself a rest day, I'd be like, oh, should I be resting, or should I have done this, should I have done that? And I've never actually fully relaxed or fully take a break or like let my mind just sort of be quiet. Whereas when he says it's a rest day, I really feel like I've earned it, and that I do have the right to just put my feet up and have a cup of tea and not think about putting my trainers on. So I really like having that intensity, and then also the sort of knowledge that, yeah, you can just have a break today because he said I can. So
And
me,
we often get asked again on the channel about, should I get a coach? Should I self-coach? Should I just use this particular book and follow that plan? And my advice to people is, it depends. And it's an awful answer to give, but unfortunately, that's what you have to. And it depends whether you as an individual have the knowledge to do your own plans, the motivation to follow your own plans, because some people are so disciplined they can do that, but there's a group of people out there, and I'm included in this. I sometimes need a professional to tell me what to do and when to do it, even though I know it, because it's a case of so and so has told me I need to do X on the bike today, and that's what I'm going to do. And then the third point that I always say is, when you're an athlete and you're training, whatever level, whether you're a complete beginner or a pro, you sometimes can't see the wood for the trees. And you make a perfect example of that when you talk about rest. And as triathletes and duathletes, we are all guilty of thinking, I haven't done enough, I need to train. And rest is as important as anything else that you do. And we talk about it being potentially the fifth discipline after swim, bike, run, transition, then rest, and then and we also talk about fuel as well as a sixth discipline. And rest doesn't have to be sat on the sofa doing nothing. You know, it can be a very light session, but it's about knowing when your body does need that rest. And ultimately, a coach will have the bigger picture in mind, and they'll know what they're planning for you this week because they've already given it. They'll also know what's next week and the week after. And they'll tweak it from week to week, but they will have that larger goal in mind.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know that your coach has sort of given you that experience as well.
Yeah, no, he has been really great, and I actually, because of so the Worlds has been postponed this year until next year, and so it's now another 14 months before I'll actually compete in the Worlds. And obviously, it was a bit of a blow because you work so hard, especially during lockdown when I've just been fully focused on training. It was a bit of a blow for it to be postponed for another 14 months. You think, oh my God, I've got to basically do all that again. And I had a really good chat with him, and I said, I don't know whether to keep going with you for the next couple of months or whether to just sort of take a break and have a rest. Or obviously, I wouldn't have just not done anything, but just taken it a little bit easier and not had that intensity. And yeah, he was like, if that's what you want to do, that's totally fine. It's a really good option. But he said, is that how a world champion would think? And I was like, no. And that's what he had to say to me, and I was like, yeah, I'm back in, we're on. So the intensity hasn't gone down, and I'm still training just as hard, even though there's no competition in September. But it's good, and hopefully it'll all pay off next year. So
yeah, well, fingers crossed. And again, it's funny that you talk about now what you were doing in lockdown, given that there's no races for people to sort of be focused on in the shorter term or the medium term even. Because a couple of people have asked us, on the various social media accounts that we have, what should I do? Should I just have a break? Should I continue the intensity? And again, it depends moment.
yeah,
But what the biggest thing that I'm saying to people is, this is your perfect opportunity to look at what isn't working for you, and whether that's a specific technique, whether it be cycling, whether it be running, whether that's a niggle or an injury that you have and you're just continuing to manage it. This is the perfect opportunity to put some of those foundations right.
yeah,
And yeah, we've advised that on a lot of people now is get those things sorted, get to the end of this year. Some races may happen at the end of the year, we don't really know. Then you've got your winter, which is your foundation for next year. And, if anything, this is opportunity to come back even stronger next year. And
yeah,
but yeah, really interesting that your coach has said that. Is that how world champion would think? It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, and what you were just saying, I think, is completely the right approach. And oh, my mind's just gone blank again. I'm so sorry. I was going to mention something. The right approach to coming back next year. Oh yeah. So like one of the main things my coach spoke to me about when he met me, he like saw the way I ran and things, and he noticed straight away that when I was tired, my running technique just goes to pot. And he said, we really need to work on that. And so, like I said, this year we've been working just almost solely on my running technique. So rather than me going out for runs, concentrating on pace or heart rate or distance or anything like that, it is just good form, good form.
Yeah.
Capital letters, he just keeps writing to me, good form, this, and this. And he's given me lots of different tools and techniques to try and improve that. And I've noticed a massive difference. And it's amazing how much more speed I've got from not necessarily training for it, but just changing the way I run. And I would say that's probably one of the biggest benefits of me getting a coach is just him seeing my technique and changing it. Because I'm part of an athletics club in Bristol, but the coach there is looking after 30 or 40 of us, and he's just wanting you to get the right times as you go around the track. He's not going to be one-to-one, right, you need to change this about the way you run. Whereas having this one-to-one coach that's just constantly analysing your data and trying to change and tweak little things really helps. And I think when I come around to racing next year, hopefully I'll have a much better form and a better technique. And yeah, it's amazing because I've ran all my life and no one's ever told me that I run bad. And then he's come along and said, you're not a great runner. Like a good runner in terms of times, but just not great the way I move. And so that's been huge for me. And again, if anyone's thinking about whether to get a coach or not get a coach, it isn't just about them writing a few sessions out for you. They honestly give you advice around so many other aspects of the sport as well.
And I think that's the benefit of finding a good coach. And sometimes there's no right or wrong answer about how you find that coach. But if you find a good one, keep hold of them. So
Paul Ryan, he's great.
Right, Kathy, thank you very much. We'll call it a day there. It's been an absolutely insightful podcast to hear about your experience, how you got where you are, and some of those sort of tips for the future for any beginners who are out there. Look, keep in touch. I'd love you to have get you back on for another episode. Maybe
absolutely.
a specific topic or something to talk about. But good luck for the rest of the year, and keep in contact.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. Lovely speaking.
Thank you. Ta-ra.
Bye.